Good morning. My name's Stephen Lehman. I run a small video production company in Sarasota, Florida. I've seen lots of people doing these kind of behind the scenes vlog style videos, people like David Moorfield over in Orlando, and I thought it might be cool to do one for a perspective in someone in a smaller market. For those who don't know, Sarasota is about an hour south of Tampa. I grew up in a pretty small town, so to me Sarasota is kind of the big city, but when it comes to media production, definitely kind of on the smaller end of things. And the goal is to get a thriving small production company that serves businesses, nonprofits, things like that. So today I'm going to actually my first ever retainer client. This is a company I've been working with for a really long time. They are a plant nursery in South Florida. They also have a landscaping division. So what we're doing for this retainer is they are doing a series of videos based on, it's called the 9 principles of Florida-friendly landscaping. So there's 9 principles, and we're going to do all 9 of them over the next 6 months. So today I'm shooting B-roll for the first one at a job site where they're doing some landscaping at a super nice house along the water. So it's going to be a B-roll day. We're just going to be kind of hanging out with the crew, getting shots of things being planted, dirt being moved, all that sort of stuff. And then tomorrow we are going to be at the nursery doing all the kind of talking head stuff with talent, as well as B-roll for the second video. I guess to give you a little context about me, I grew up in Mississippi in a college town. I came down here right after college and have been working with a nonprofit ever since. They run a drug and alcohol rehab center as well as homeless shelters, things like that. So I do all of their kind of promotional videos, and through that time I've built up just kind of a hodgepodge network of things. I've done everything from nonprofit work to corporate work to events, as well as my true love is narrative and kind of editing. So I've made some connections with the film school here and have done a few shorts with one of the professors there. He actually told me this whole story about how he wanted to be Indiana Jones, where he had his nice cushy academic job and he then went off and had his adventure over the summer. So that's kind of been my guiding light for the last few years of what I want life to look like, where I can have a nice sustainable business that pays my bills and supports my family and then allows me the flexibility to go off and have a cinematic adventure making a movie in the summer. So today is one piece of that, so we gotta kill it on this retainer. That way we can get more people in on this whole deal. So I'm gonna focus on the road, and I will update you when we get there.
The whole goal for this day was to follow this crew as they were redoing a number of beds around this property, with the ultimate goal being to communicate all about the importance of planting the right plant in the right place. I spent a good part of the day with a cine saddle and this collapsible stool I have. This was a great setup that allowed me to get all my shots without really slowing them down at all. I also had my phone in several places running time-lapse. I also wanted to get some shots of this foreman to show how professional and organized they were. They aren't just winging it, but they have a specific process.
That's a wrap on day 1 for this retainer client. It's about 4 o'clock. Heading to the UPS store to send off a camera back to Blackmagic. I've got a Pocket 4K where the screen isn't responding. Most all of what I shoot is Pocket 4K with the speed booster. Because of all the nonprofit stuff I do a lot of interviews and a lot of kind of sit down to camera interviews, and I've just found the prices in my particular market don't justify the extra expense on a FX6, FX9, that sort of thing. So the Pocket 4K is kind of my bread and butter. They look great. Everything I do is going on the web or being played in a big auditorium, usually on projectors, usually in the middle of the day, usually with all the lights on, so like it doesn't really matter anyway. So I'm trying to kind of save money there wherever I can. I guess maybe a little context I should give is what I was doing kind of before I started doing this full time. I've been doing this forever. I got started in kind of junior high. The church I grew up in had a TV station, and I started volunteering there. So I've been working in live television in some way or another since I was 13. When I got to Florida, I found my way into education. So I've been teaching film history and film production at a local high school here since 2013, so kind of somewhere in there. Really loved it. You know, the whole adage is true. If you want to really, really learn something, you should teach it. So I got to spend 10 years diving into old movies and getting paid to talk about them and obsessing over them, and you know, it was a blast. Back in March, the school district that I worked for decided they didn't want to do contract teachers anymore. They wanted to get people kind of as full-time as possible. So basically the job that I had no longer exists, which was a bit of a shock, obviously. You know, in a lot of ways, I'd felt a little insulated from kind of all the nonsense going on in the entertainment industry right now. I know a lot of people kind of in the post world. I know so many people that aren't working right now just because everything is shut down. And I kind of thought I was insulated from that. And then, shocker of shockers, it can come to your door too. So it's been a interesting few months of figuring it out. You know, I've wanted to take my business full time for a really long time, but you know, when you're comfortable and the checks keep coming in, you decide maybe now's not the time, but now I guess is the time. Luckily, a buddy of mine who runs the program that I was teaching in also runs the Performing Arts Center at the high school, connected me with this guy. He runs an entire video production company where basically all they do is do dance recitals all over the country. And he was talking to this guy during one of the recitals he was shooting, and the guy mentioned he needed an editor. He was like, great, I know a guy. And that led me making more money, basically half of what would have been my high school income over the year in the course of about 6 weeks, which was amazing. So, such a blessing to get this kind of immediate, you're okay until basically December, you know, time frame. So that kind of gave me the confidence and a little bit just the bandwidth to be like, okay, let's figure out, we're good until December, don't change your lifestyle. And things have just kind of been falling into place. One thing that I've done that I've not heard other people talk about, I did a few meetings with the kind of Chamber of Commerce, that sort of thing. That didn't really sit with me. A friend of mine, I was telling him kind of everything that was going on, and he was like, oh, well, you should come check out my BNI chapter. And if anyone has never heard of BNI, it's a much more expensive version of the Chamber of Commerce, but the whole point is you are in a much smaller group. If you're a videographer, you're the only videographer kind of in that group. And the basic goal is to come together once a week and teach all these people how to go out and sell for you. So their whole goal is to kind of go around. Anytime someone says, oh, I really want to make a video for my website, they can say, oh, I know a video guy, and pass you along. I've lived here for 13 years, and I am fairly well connected. The number of contacts I've made in the last 6 months is insane. I haven't closed anything yet, but I mean, there is project after project where like it's right there. So I mean, I've got another nonprofit coming up. I'm filming for a med spa that is the owner of it is in another chapter. So just lots of things kind of coming together to, you know, keep the train tracks rolling, which has been super cool. And it's just been a fun journey. You know, teaching is great. Kind of went into it kicking and screaming. Both of my parents are college professors. Me being the filmmaker of the family was kind of the black sheep a little bit. So when I went into teaching, everyone thought it was really hilarious that I ended up joining the family business anyway. But I really grew to love it. You know, finding ways to connect with students and having them fall in love with this thing that you love too, and seeing I mean, it's all incredibly cliche, but incredibly true. So that was super, super cool. But after a while, you know, I talked about Casablanca, I talked about Star Wars a billion times, and I was getting a little bored, to be honest, you know, kind of solving the same problems over and over and over again. And I was just getting a little burned out. So I would have taken another year to kind of, I don't know, build a runway, get the boat a little closer to the dock, pick your metaphor. But it's been really fun to have kind of new problems to solve. It's amazing how much progress I've made in the last 6 months that I haven't made in the last 3 or 4 years. It's been a cool journey, and I'm excited to see where it goes. But for now, I'm going to pull into UPS, ship off this camera, and I'll take you along tomorrow for day 2.
We had a big gap for weather on this while we waited for all that crazy winter weather that brought snow to places like Pensacola. No snow for us, just lots of gray skies. We shot the stand-up in one of the greenhouses, and they let me drive the car right up into the nursery. I've driven small cars my entire life and just inherited my wife's old car after we upgraded for our second baby. I really hate to admit it, but having all this space has been awesome. All my grip and support gear just lives in the car now. So I spend so much less time thinking about gear prep. Just charging batteries and checking out the camera the night before, good to go. We've got a ton of diffusion from the greenhouse, but I needed to add just a little bit more. So the 5-in-1 here is really testing that vertical limit on the impact stand that I have. 20 minutes later, and we might have been in some trouble. We're filming a variety of things here today. Got some short content about trimming back your plants for spring. And then one of the other main videos we're doing is all about watering appropriately. So we got to turn on a bunch of sprinklers and get some really cool shots. The water just adds so much texture, even after the sprinklers are turned off. All right, so that's a wrap for this retainer client. It took a lot longer to get this done because of all the weather that's been going through lately. It's been freezing in Florida, which sounds weird, and there's been like no sun. So it's taken forever to get this done, but we finally had a nice sunny day, nice bright sun. So we were able to knock out all of the kind of scripted stuff where the employee or the manager is giving their kind of spiel to camera. And then we shot some different vertical content for different types of plants that they offer. So we did ones on like citrus and mangoes and all that fun stuff. So yeah, I was talking about how I don't want an FX6, and then kind of going through that, I really do. I've built out this rig to where it's super robust. Nothing feels loose, which is really nice. But man, when I was, I don't know, 2004, 2005, I had a Canon XL2, which in my opinion is the most perfect camera that's ever existed. I miss audio pods and full-size XLR cables so much. So I may be eating my words in the span of this one video, but I miss physical buttons for audio. Maybe there's an Ursa in my future, an Ursa broadcast in my future. I don't know. Maybe one day I won't want any extra gear and I'll just finally actually be done. And I'll be the only filmmaker that's ever gotten to that place ever. So we'll see. But anyway, I hope you all have enjoyed this kind of look into the day of a small market video production company. Definitely subscribe to follow along if you are interested in kind of following this whole journey as I build this business. And I will see you in the next one.